What if I told you that your unhappiness might have nothing to do with your life? What if the reason you never feel completely satisfied isn't because you're failing, falling behind, or missing something important? What if the real reason is much stranger than that? The truth is, your brain does not wake up every morning asking, "How can I make this person happy?" It wakes up asking a completely different question. How can I keep this person alive? And that single difference may explain why so many people spend years chasing happiness, but rarely feel like they've actually found it. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed fine, yet something inside you still felt unsettled? Your bills are paid. Nobody is fighting with you. Your health is relatively okay. Nothing terrible is happening. Yet there is this quiet feeling that something isn't right. A strange emptiness. A subtle restlessness. A sense that life should feel better than it does. Most people never talk about this feeling openly because it seems irrational. After all, what right do you have to feel unhappy when your life is not falling apart? So you push the feeling away. You tell yourself to be grateful. You tell yourself that other people have it worse. You tell yourself that happiness will come later. But somehow, later never arrives. And that's where the real story begins. Psychology teaches us that the human brain evolved primarily for survival, not fulfillment. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in a world filled with immediate dangers. Missing a threat could mean death. Ignoring a strange sound in the bushes could mean becoming someone's dinner. As a result, the brain became incredibly skilled at detecting problems. It learned to scan. It learned to worry. It learned to prepare. It learned to expect danger. And while civilization changed, the basic wiring inside your skull remained surprisingly similar. The lion disappeared. The survival system did not. Today, most people are not running from predators. Yet their brains continue behaving as if danger is always nearby. The difference is that modern threats are psychological. A delayed text message, an awkward conversation, a financial concern, a fear of failure, a fear of rejection, a fear of not being enough. Your brain treats these situations with far more importance than they often deserve because it was built to prioritize potential threats. This creates a fascinating problem. The moment one concern disappears, your brain immediately begins searching for another. You finally get the promotion. Now you're worried about keeping it. You finally find love. Now you're worried about losing it. You finally buy the house. Now you're worried about the mortgage. You finally achieve the goal. Now you're worried about what's next. People rarely say it directly, but many of the things they desperately wanted stop, making them happy much faster than they expected. At first, this sounds depressing. But understanding why it happens can completely change the way you see your life. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. It's one of the most powerful psychological forces influencing human happiness. When something positive enters your life, your brain reacts strongly. You feel excitement, relief, gratitude, joy. But over time, the brain adapts. The new salary becomes normal. The new relationship becomes normal. The new car becomes normal. The dream slowly becomes routine. And once it becomes routine, your mind starts looking for something else. Something bigger, something better, something missing. The dangerous part is that most people mistake this process for evidence that they haven't achieved enough. So they keep running. They keep chasing. They keep believing the next achievement will finally create lasting happiness. But happiness keeps moving further away, like a horizon that retreats every time you take a step toward it. Imagine a man who spends 10 years dreaming about becoming successful. He sacrifices weekends, sleeps less, works harder than everyone around him. Finally, he reaches the level he always imagined. For a brief moment, he feels victorious. Then something unexpected happens. The excitement fades. His achievement becomes his new normal. Soon, he finds himself staring at someone even more successful and wondering why he still feels incomplete. Nothing changed except the target. This happens every day, not because people are greedy, not because they are broken, because their brains adapted. Most people never realize they are trapped inside this cycle. They assume their dissatisfaction means something is wrong. But often, dissatisfaction is simply the brain doing what it evolved to do. Searching for the next problem, searching for the next improvement, searching for the next reason to stay alert. And this tendency becomes even stronger when uncertainty enters the picture. Your brain hates uncertainty. In many ways, uncertainty feels more threatening than actual bad news. Bad news at least gives you clarity. Uncertainty leaves endless possibilities. and the brain tries to solve every one of them. This is why overthinking exists. A woman sends a message and doesn't receive a reply. 10 minutes pass, then 30, then an hour. Nothing has actually happened. But inside her mind, entire stories begin unfolding. Maybe they're upset. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't care anymore. Maybe something is ending. The brain fills empty spaces with imagined threats because uncertainty creates discomfort. The truth is, overthinking often feels like problem solving, but many times it is simply anxiety pretending to be productivity. You tell yourself you're preparing. You tell yourself you're analyzing. You tell yourself you're being responsible. Yet the more you think, the worse you feel. Because your brain is not searching for peace. It is searching for certainty. And certainty is something life rarely provides. This is where things become even more interesting. Because beneath all the worrying, all the chasing, and all the overthinking lies a deeper emotional truth that most people avoid. Many people are not actually afraid of problems. They are afraid of stillness. Silence often reveals what distractions hide. When life becomes quiet, old emotions begin to surface. Loneliness, regret, disappointment, shame, grief, questions that were never answered, pain that was never processed. Many people spend years filling every moment with noise because silence forces them to face themselves. And facing yourself can be terrifying. A person can spend an entire day scrolling through social media, watching videos, checking notifications, and staying busy. Not because they enjoy it, because stopping feels uncomfortable. Because the moment the noise disappears, they are left alone with their thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts are heavy. This is one reason modern life feels so exhausting. We are constantly stimulated, constantly distracted, constantly entertained. Yet many people have never felt more emotionally disconnected. The brain becomes addicted to seeking, always refreshing, always checking, always waiting for the next thing. And eventually, the search itself becomes a habit. The irony is painful. People spend years searching for happiness while accidentally training themselves to never feel satisfied. Because satisfaction requires presence, and presence requires stillness. But stillness feels unfamiliar. Over time, the brain becomes so focused on what comes next that it loses the ability to appreciate what already exists. A beautiful sunset becomes background noise. A peaceful morning becomes ordinary. A meaningful conversation becomes forgettable. The mind immediately jumps toward the next concern, the next task, the next problem, the next destination. And slowly, life begins to feel like an endless checklist. One item completed, another one added, one worry solved, another one created. The cycle continues. Year after year, most people never stop to ask an important question. What if the problem isn't that life lacks happiness? What if the problem is that the brain keeps interrupting it? Think about some of the happiest moments you've ever experienced. They probably weren't moments when every problem disappeared. They were moments when your attention was fully present. A laugh with a friend, a quiet evening, a meaningful hug, a walk outside, a moment of genuine connection. Those experiences felt powerful because, for a brief period, the mind stopped searching. It stopped comparing. It stopped predicting. It stopped chasing. And in that pause, happiness appeared naturally. Not because life became perfect, because the search temporarily ended. This is something psychology continues to reveal. Attention shapes emotional reality. What you repeatedly focus on becomes your experience of life. If your attention constantly searches for danger, life feels dangerous. If your attention constantly searches for flaws, life feels flawed. If your attention constantly searches for what is missing, abundance becomes invisible. The world around you may remain exactly the same, yet your experience of it changes dramatically. This does not mean you should ignore problems. Real problems exist. Challenges exist. Pain exists. But there is a difference between addressing problems and becoming psychologically addicted to finding them. Many people cross that line without realizing it. And once they do, happiness becomes difficult to recognize because the brain is always looking somewhere else. Perhaps this explains why some people seem peaceful despite difficult circumstances, and why others remain unhappy despite having everything they once wanted. The difference is often not the situation. It's the relationship they have with their own minds. The most emotionally intelligent people are not the ones who never feel fear. They are the ones who understand that fear is not always a reliable narrator. They understand that thoughts are not facts. They understand that anxiety is often a prediction, not a reality. And they understand something that changes everything. You do not have to believe every thought your brain produces. This realization sounds simple, yet it can completely transform a life. Because the moment you stop treating every thought as truth, you create space. Space to breathe, space to observe, space to choose. Instead of automatically following every fear, every worry, and every insecurity, you begin watching them. And once you start watching them, their power weakens. The truth is, your brain will probably continue generating concerns for the rest of your life. That is its nature. That is its job. The goal is not to eliminate that process. The goal is to stop becoming trapped by it. Because peace does not come from having no problems. Peace comes from realizing that your worth, your identity, and your ability to experience life are bigger than the endless stream of thoughts moving through your mind. Maybe happiness was never hidden in the future. Maybe it was hidden beneath the constant search, beneath the endless striving, beneath the belief that something is always missing. Maybe happiness appears the moment you stop demanding that life become perfect before allowing yourself to enjoy it. And perhaps that is the secret your brain never wanted you to discover. Your brain is designed to protect you. But protection and happiness are not the same thing. Protection keeps you alert. Happiness asks you to be present. Protection looks for threats. Happiness notices beauty. Protection prepares for tomorrow. Happiness experiences today. And the longer you live, the more important this distinction becomes. Because one day you may realize that life was never waiting on the other side of your worries. Life was happening while you were worrying. The laughter was happening. The sunsets were happening. The friendships were happening. The ordinary moments that make existence meaningful were happening. But your brain was too busy searching for the next problem to notice them. So the next time you find yourself wondering why happiness feels so difficult to hold on to, remember this. It may not be because your life is missing something. It may simply be because your brain is doing what it has always done. Searching, scanning, preparing, protecting. And the moment you stop following every alarm it creates, something beautiful begins to emerge. Not perfect happiness, not endless pleasure. Something deeper, something quieter, something far more real. Peace.